Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now on with the show.
Welcome back. This is the SMG Blacklist podcast. I am one of your hosts, number 23 on the blacklist, Jack Wengroski, and with me is...
Number 13, Melissa Maxey.
Hey, we're here to talk about episode 16, which is Tom Keene, number 7 on the blacklist. I think this is a much-awaited episode for all our Tom Keene fans.
Oh, yes. Everybody was way excited to see Tom Keene without his shirt on.
I was going to say, I know I was. No, not really. I was excited when Liz took her shirt off, but it wasn't really Liz.
That wasn't even Liz.
And it was confusing, so yeah, I'm still disappointed. But at least you got to see Tom Keene without a shirt.
I just want to see Reddington in a suit.
the concierge of crime, and Tom Keene, originally Jacob Phelps, but you found a website that has a lot more information. So what is that?
The website is the Blacklist, and it's wikia.com, and it has all of the blacklist, everyone that's on the list so far, and it has them all alphabetized, and then it talks about where they are on the list, what episodes they were in, everything about them that we know about, and they have a section on Tom Keene.
Well, let's talk a little about Tom Keene. So what do they have on Tom?
Well, they start with the pilot. They talk about every scene he was in with all of the characters. So let's come down to season 2. It looks like they're still updating, but the last one they have is the Earl King 6, when he calls Liz about going undercover. So it talks about everything that happened to him, about him getting his tattoos and the song played.
Does it say about his actual appearance with the beard?
Oh,
because we talked about that.
We need to talk about this because I had a conversation on Instagram with one of the fans, and she said she recognized that too, and because I thought I was crazy. I had recognized the bearded man. She's like, no, I recognize that too, and she thought it was Tom too. But she said the biggest thing about that episode was, she goes, did you check out when they were showing his passport, the date that was on it?
No.
The date's important. So the date that was on there was like March 22nd.
Okay.
79, I think. And that was March 22nd is the day that Wrestler's girlfriend or fiance got killed. So that was a weird comparison, that they had his passport with the same date that Wrestler's girlfriend dies. Like, what's that connection?
Well,
I know that's totally off on a tangent. That's not even about the bearded guy, but.
Well, that it does bring up a big thing. So this was on Tom Keene's passport or the bearded guy's passport?
It was on Tom, because Tom Keene, when Tom was going through his transformation, remember, he was looking, I don't know what.
So one of the passports had the date.
One of his passports had the date on it. Yeah, it was one of the passports, one of his disguises that he could.
So I think.
And it was the bearded guy. It was that disguise.
So obviously I think that's going to really tie into how Wrestler lost his girlfriend, because obviously they had set it up early on that was Tom involved in these conference, there's supposedly a teacher conference, and it came out more than once that, oh, he didn't make it. Oh, well, it got canceled, or for some reason or other, he always had some weird alibi, or it turned out that, oh, he wasn't there. And then he started showing up in pictures and photographs. So what is the last entry that they do have in that on Tom?
The last one is the Earl King that they have. They haven't updated since then.
Okay.
They have a couple of the Major and then Tom Keene to update. So it'll be fun to come back to this site because they have unanswered questions with this. So let's go down to the bottom of this. Why does Liz always say she was rescued from a fire at age 4, but tells Red in the pilot episode that her burn scar happened when she was 14? Oh, that's funny. That was probably a writing error. Why does the top of Tom's escape box have a carving of the burn scar on Liz's hand? The theory is that it's a brand of some sort tied either to Berlin's organization or Red's past. Liz stated that whoever gave it to her wasn't trying to hurt her, and Tom stated that he was one of the good guys in late season 1. So it's plausible that Liz was marked at an early age for her protection by whoever was protecting her at the time, which we find out in this episode a little bit more about that.
Yeah, we definitely know that the shape of that is very significant, and you almost wonder, is it the shape of the scar that determined the print on the box, or was it like some sort of...
It has to be. I think it does, only because of what Red said. I know we're going to skip around a lot in this episode because there was just really the major part of it was Tom and Red, and we'll talk more about Liz and Harold, but I think that we should start out with Tom and Reddington and Wrestler and what they were doing, and about Tom, because his reactions and the way that he kept telling Red that he wasn't going to come back and help Liz, even though we knew that he was. And Red, he's so manipulating, and he knows Tom so well just because of everything that they've been through together, which we still don't know all of that.
Well, let's go back to the beginning of that. So what happened was Tom was he's in the middle of a mission. And if you haven't seen it, and hopefully you have, and this isn't a spoiler, but you go in, Tom is in the middle of the mission. He, in the previous episode, he had kidnapped the Malaysian minister so that he could get the major. So the major gives up the location of Tom Keene. And that's where Red and Wrestler find out where Tom is. And he's in the middle of this big arms deal, which is some sort of setup for this organization. He's worked his way into a neo-Nazi group. He's killed the arms dealer that they were working with on the side, and they don't know that. So he's got this whole deal set up. The deal is going down. This whole organization, which they've spent like a whole episode setting up with, this big bad guy, and Red comes in there and says, hey, Elizabeth needs you. And Tom says, I'm in the middle of something. I can't do this right now. And
that was the funniest scene ever, because you knew that Red was coming in the car. As soon as Tom saw the car, you knew that he knew. Like, he just knew. I mean, he pulled his weapon right away when he was walking toward it. And I was just like, oh, I can't wait for the window to roll down. Please roll down faster.
Yeah, you can't see through the tinted windows, and there's just that awkward pause, that hesitation. And, Red comes out and announces, yeah, we're ready to make the arms deal. I have the weapons. You're more than welcome to have them. But here's the problem, is Tom's under investigation. And Tom tries to out Red, and Red says, no, you know who I am. And and Tom says, well, Wrestler's a cop. He says, I'm not a cop. I'm with the FBI.
I know.
Tom
is totally failing at this. He's just like, because Red's like, oh yeah, and by the way, Tom's on my payroll. I mean, he could have just rolled over and died at that moment.
What really surprised me, because usually Red comes in, makes the deal with the bad guys. He makes a little extra money on the side, but he and Wrestler wipe everybody out.
Oh my gosh, that was fantastic.
And it's like, man, they set up this whole criminal empire for one whole show. And in about 2 minutes, Wrestler and Red have shot everybody dead.
And Dembe came out.
Oh, Dembe. Yeah. He's just standing there with his lips together, totally no facial expression, just kind of grumpy expression, and just pow, pow, pow. And
yeah, they just kill everybody.
So
wipe everybody out.
The smoke clears. They don't even bother chasing after Tom. And so that's when the phone call happens, and he says, look, I need you. Liz is in trouble. Hey, that Tom says, well, she made her own bed. I told her to be careful. And he hung up, and Wrestler thinks, oh, that's the end of that. And like you said, that's the manipulation of Red Reddington, because he knew, even if he's going to argue it, that Tom would come to her rescue.
Well, he knows that Tom's in love with her. He knows that he can't stay away from her. That's why he was so adamant in that episode the last time we saw them together. He was like, don't ever see her again. Right. And, we just knew that he can't stay away from her.
Well, his whole MO is to be this kind of for-hire agent that gets dropped into a new life and he completely absorbs that life. He does what he needs to do, whatever the paying party is, whatever he's needed to do. He does exactly what he's needed to do, and when it's done, he gets out and assumes another role. And from the time that he was a little boy, this has never happened to him. So, you really get the feeling that this is kind of special, that Tom is really broken protocol for Liz. And sure enough, that pretentious judge, and man, I had said that in the last episode, that this guy really seemed to be overstepping bounds with national security issues and
yes,
and things.
He got called out on it too.
Oh man, that was huge.
That was awesome.
They get to the fact, I thought it was great that the judge actually got to meet Tom. All this stuff happened, and even after that, where Tom says, look, he confesses, I came back for her, and he's like, wait a minute, you've killed all these people yet and tricked all of them, yet you're coming back to save Liz. Says, I'm telling you, yeah, I'm here, don't prosecute her. And of course,
the judge is even like, you're in love with her.
Right. Yeah, I thought he was going to start mocking him a little bit, like nana nana boo boo, Tom and Liz in a tree, Kassing. And then the judge says, oh, well, we're going to get her up one side and down the other on perjury and accessory after the fact. He's willing to go straight forward with as much of the book at Liz as he could. Of course, if they're laying it all out, I don't understand why Liz just couldn't say, look, he was a deep, deep undercover, but I think she was panicking. She was getting nervous. And I think Liz thought that she could really talk her way out of it. And in the end, she really couldn't.
No, she couldn't. She
put Harold Cooper in danger.
Yeah. They were arguing at the beginning of the episode, and Harold collapsed and they ended up at the hospital. And when Harold's wife shows up, that's when Liz finds out, and we find out what's wrong with him. He has a brain tumor, and Liz is devastated because she's like, oh my gosh, I've put him in a terrible position. I mean, she admitted that she didn't care. She was doing it because for all the reasons that she wanted revenge, she wanted help for the task force, but she did it. I mean, Harold was right. He totally nailed her to the wall when he said, you did all these things, but you went against everything that we stand for.
Right. She wanted to do it her own way. And the worst part is she went about it all wrong, that, if she had gone on her own, there were just so many things that she could have done differently. But, once you're in it, it's almost too late. And I know I've been in that situation where once you dig that hole, the only thing to do is to keep digging until it's gotten so deep you finally just buried yourself.
Well, the thing about Liz, though, is she got a get out of jail free card. I mean, because Connolly steps in, Reddington stepped in, and Tom Connolly, who's the future Attorney General, the one that's been talking to Harold all this time and saying, I'm going to be the future Attorney General, like every second of the day.
Right. And he's actually been read in now, so he actually knows... Yeah, he knows what Reddington is and has done and what he's doing. He really backs it, but he also...
Yeah, but he backs it I think he backs it for a reason that we don't know about yet, because I think he's dirty.
Oh, he is. He's
like completely up to his eyeballs in mud and muck.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's got everything. He's got something on almost everybody, which is obviously why he's made it to Attorney General. He's not glad-handing. He's blackmailing his way to the top.
Oh, that's what he did to Judge Denner. I mean, he just got in his face and said, you had access to all this classified information and you're not supposed to have it. He's like, you're a superior court judge, Richard. I mean, I was just like, oh my gosh.
Well, obviously, they were they must have been friends from, way back law school. And, the judge kind of went with his anti-establishment, with his kind of self-righteous thing, which, in some cases, I think you do need judges like that. But I think he kind of went almost high and mighty too far in the other direction. But now Connolly has dirt on him because at any point, he could have put that judge in prison.
I know.
And now Connolly can he can set that judge up.
Now he's got that judge in his pocket.
Right. And so he can set that judge up for a much higher court and then call that favor. Much like he also knows now that that Cooper threw himself under the bus for Liz on that perjured himself. When he said he said he wasn't going to, so it wasn't Liz's fault. He went in and he made that choice. But man, the look on the grin on Connolly's face when he said, "Now I finally got something on you, Harold."
Oh yeah, he's gonna start collecting soon. I can't wait for that confrontation with Reddington, because Reddington's gonna protect the task force at all costs.
Well,
because he's got his own agenda with it. He's not gonna want Tom Connolly stepping in thinking he can use a task force for anything he wants. And another thing I want to bring up. So remember that conversation Red had on the phone with the guy when he was sitting in the limo?
Right.
What do you want to bet that it's Tom Connolly that was standing in the window?
That's probably a really good guess. That he's going to be, I think Tom Connolly's going to drive the bus for a little bit. That somehow that some of these projects are going to be almost on Connolly's list until Red figures some of that out. I think so. Connolly gets information that he can use, which, is just as useful. Yeah, I think they're going to kind of do something with the fact that Connolly is a blackmailer and in one of the highest, offices in government. And it should make really for interesting TV.
So Reddington and Liz had their final conversation at the end of the episode. They always get together at the end of the episode, and there's always a life lesson. It's like Red's life lesson. And he always tells a little bit about himself and what he's doing in these conversations. And this one was really good because Liz had taken the apartment that he had given her and she'd sold it. And she gave the money that she got from the proceeds to fund Ames's daughter's school, because that's why he was working, so he could put his daughter through school, because he was past retirement age.
Yeah, so they're in a little balcony overlooking the family.
Yeah, and so this is when Red, he tells her, he says, this is a bad idea. This isn't a good idea. Don't go down this path, because you get to a point where you want to keep her safe, or you want to ascertain her hopes, dreams, desires, and then you pull strings and call in favors to make her path easier, and as he's saying all this, I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, he's talking about himself.
Mm-hmm.
And the first few years may work. You'll draw some measure of virtue for being her invisible benefactor. But that won't last. It's all a fraud,
So that's implying that he isn't her father, but most likely in this fire that obviously burnt Red's back pretty well. We have some indication that Red did go down in that fire, but Red also blames himself for getting both her parents killed, which is one of the main reasons that he's felt that kind of responsibility to be her kind of overseer and protector.
Right.
So we finally get the real motivation, and I think that's what it is. I don't think enough people kind of gave credit to this one, but I think we finally got the answer everybody's been looking for.
I think so too. And they're still, I have conversations on Instagram every day with fans, and everybody is still on the fence about it. There's people that are like, he's totally her father, and then other people that think, we do, they're like, no, there's something else.
Well, look at it. The parallel to the story was Elizabeth had killed one of the parents, and she's going to be kind of watching for the rest of her life over that kid as if that this is going to somehow make up for it. And, in a sense, it kind of, it soothes the soul of Liz. Will it truly will the family ever get the father back? No. Well, if you do draw that exact parallel, that it just seems pretty clear that Red had something to do with the death of her parents, and he's her benefactor. He's her benefactor, trying to get a penance that will never come.
Yeah, because he says, look, all the money, all the time and effort, all the favors in the world cannot possibly equal what you took away from her. So if he was the one that caused her parents' death, then he just is going to feel guilty about that for the rest of his life, and it doesn't matter what he does.
It's funny. If he had said that to me, I would have just started like crying and, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I've never been able to fix it. She gets a tear, but she kind of comes to that realization that, like you were saying, that, wait a minute, that's why you're my benefactor. That's why you've been doing all what you've been doing.
You know what, though? She wasn't even caught up on that. She was caught up on the fact that she goes, you saved a man you hate to save me. That's what she was, out of everything that he said, that was the one thing that she picked up on. It was about, she made it about Tom, and he was talking about him. Reddington was talking about himself and her. And she twisted it and made it about Tom.
Right. I don't even think I noticed, because obviously I knew so much that he was talking about Liz, but I think you're right. He didn't realize, or she didn't realize, he was talking
about himself
and her parents, and that only the part about Tom, which it was almost kind of left field, is like, really, that's what you picked up from that.
Yeah, and then the look on his face when when she says that, he's just like devastated, because he just gave a piece of himself to her and she didn't get it.
I don't know if that was, to me, it was the look of, yes, I did hate him that much, and that's how much you mean to me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I picked up on it. I guess I would have to look at it again to kind of see that, to make that connection. But, when I saw that, I really thought he was kind of almost nodding yes by the fact that he really didn't say anything after that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really wish I hadn't had to call him back. And we know we're going to get him back, because when all was said and done, the Attorney General says, I never heard of Tom Keene. And, basically don't care. Because as long as Tom Keene is in the picture, there's paperwork, there's all sorts of problems.
I think they need to keep Tom Keene. I think they just need to keep him around, because he just finishes it. Like, he makes it deeper storyline.
And he's got like the 51% of the female population vote.
I think it's higher than that. So he had on Twitter the other day, they had an Ask Ryan session where he spent an hour with fans on Twitter answering their questions. And I shot out a couple of questions, and one of my first ones was, when are they going to add Tom Keene to the task force? He never did respond to that one, because he was getting like 200 tweets every couple of minutes. So it was just like all he could do to tweet out something. But he did make a comment of, someone had asked if there was some love triangle that was going to happen between Wrestler and Liz, and he actually said maybe. So I thought that was pretty funny.
That is. So I'm kind of looking at some of the numbers here that I think Rotten Tomatoes on the first season of the show had a rating of 82%, average rating of 7 out of 10. It looks like they're averaging right now about 12.3 million viewers, which really is on target with where they were last year. Last year, they got the Best Actor, Golden Globe, People's Choice, 8 awards from Entertainment Weekly Season Finale Awards, the Primetime Creative Arts Emmy Awards, SCAT Film and Television Awards for Top TV Series, the Saturn Award, which I don't think I've heard of, but Best Network Television Series Release. And in 2015, Spader got Best Actor again for The Blacklist as Best Actor. So this is, I think we're going pretty good. It's been a really strong show.
So one other thing I wanted to mention before we wrap up about just a funny little anecdote that happened with Cooper and Aram, because
Aram.
He got that card. He was passing around a card to get well.
Oh, that was...
Get well, bitch. We've got some partying to do.
It's like, really? Come on, Aram.
Did you see the flowers that he sent? They were like funeral flowers.
Man, this guy is completely out of touch. I can't imagine how awkward is it when Aram and Samar get together, if that ever happens.
They're not gonna, I don't know if they're gonna show that. I think that maybe she'll save his life a few times. I'm still wondering about that relationship thing. It's almost like Reddington set it up. I don't know. It's kind of awkward.
They've set him up as that typical, like, IT really nerdy guy, and you've got the really cool Mossad agent, killer girl, and they're trying to figure out how to get the two together, but they've
like putting Ziva from NCIS and McGee together. It's kind of hilarious.
It's gonna take a team of like 30 writers to figure out how to do this without making it like slapstick comedy or something. I think it's almost going to get to the point where somebody's just going to like their exchange where she walks by and just kind of pats him on the head or like punches him in the shoulder or something.
They need a really hot makeout session in an elevator.
They do. I think they're going to have to toughen Aram up a little bit. Maybe he'll get a little field time, much like Elizabeth has been progressing to where she really feels like one of the active members of the team now. And maybe they'll toughen him up a little bit, but they've made him so awkward now. It's going to make it really, really difficult, I think.
Yeah, he can't stay in man cave forever with his computer. I think that they need to kind of get him out more. They need to pair him with Red for part of an episode or something, where he's doing some techie stuff for Red on the side.
Right.
Give him with a gun. I don't know, something.
I think Aram would just hurt himself. So now on that site, did it have, we were going to get back to some questions before we wrap it up.
Oh yeah, they had like some stuff some loose end stuff they had listed.
All right, well, how about read off a couple of them here?
Yeah, it's from Entertainment Weekly. So let's see. Oh, it's just the last conversation between Red and Lizzie was really implying, I killed your dad and I feel bad about it, more than I am your dad and I feel bad about it. No? Is this just a red herring? All newly revised theories welcome in the comments section. Which I think is pretty funny.
Well, what are they saying is in the red herring? Because that went by so fast that it said he feels bad that he kills her dad, but somebody is trying to say.
Yeah, so they're like, this is like a play on whether or not Red is her father, because everyone's still under the, we have the half and half, where Red is her father, Red isn't her father. So they're like, is this really an answer? Is it not an answer? Is it sort of an answer? Is it just the writers messing with our minds?
I guess it could be because we've been waiting almost 2 years to answer that, but I really disagree with that. I really think he finally told us. I think people just don't want to hear it now.
Yeah, people don't want it. People are now, there are a few people, they're like, I don't want to know. They're
right.
Like, it'll ruin the plot if they tell. It's like Mulder finding his sister.
Right.
He's never going to find his sister. It'll ruin the plot.
What's her, I guess it's, she wakes up in the alien ship and then she still kind of doubts that they're aliens.
Oh, Scully, yes.
Scully, yeah. That's like,
speaking of that, they're gonna they're bringing that show back.
Really?
Yeah, they're doing an X-Files revival. We're waiting any day now for them to announce that they're gonna offer a 6-episode season.
Okay, just like a little reunion, or are they gonna reboot?
I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully it'll be some alien action.
So are they actually going to have Scully and Mulder, or is it?
Yes, they are. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yep, they're bringing them back.
That'll be exciting. So let's do one more of the questions there.
Let's see. Tom follows up Red's final speech with an additional, if more succinct, world-shattering statement. Are you okay? He's just calling to check in. Are you now to officially believe that Tom loves Lizzie and that was his full reasoning for turning himself in? As Liz points out, Red knew that the government would let Tom, a man he hates, go free in order to keep the task force under cover. Might that have had a little something to do with his adamant confession?
I don't think so. I think that's an easy one to answer. I don't think it's very cryptic at all. I think he was ready to be prosecuted in lieu of Liz, and I don't think anybody realized that when all was said and done, that prosecuting Tom would in any way endanger the task force. I think it was, when you look at it from the side, I think it was something Red must have figured out, that if they did hold Tom, okay, well, you're going to have a trial. You can't convict anybody without some sort of trial, and then what do you do with Tom? And then all this evidence of the task force and what Liz has been doing and, why he was spying on her, and on top of what she was doing all the time. I think it was just kind of a good happenstance that you just couldn't do anything with Tom. But do you really think that this was kind of, I don't know, that they were really just going to let Tom go? Because when you say it out loud, it totally makes sense. They can't put him on trial.
No, they can't. And Red knew that from the beginning, and I think Tom probably did too. I think that's probably what made his realization. He's really, really intelligent. You know, he rivals Reddington, so you know that Reddington put the seed in his mind, and then he figured out, oh yeah, well, I guess I can do this. I can go in because I'm not going to nothing's going to happen to me. Well, I can say whatever I want.
Even if it did, would they really be able, how long would they be able to hold Tom? I mean, I really thought that what was going to happen was they were going to arrest Tom. Okay, Tom saved the day. He takes the bullet for Liz. He goes to jail. And by the time they even get the truck to the jail, that he's already escaped and gone. And that didn't happen at all because they couldn't even get to that point. So I don't know. I think it's good points that they brought up, but I think, it's their not so subtle way of kind of answering both these questions that, yeah, I think Tom is just full on in love and he was ready to give up everything to save Liz. And on the first count, where I think Red is not her father, but feels the responsibility as if he was because of the fire.
Well, and I thought that was an interesting way to end the episode with Tom calling Liz and asking if she was okay, and her saying, "Where are you?" Like leaving it hanging, like they were going to meet up or something.
Right. Oh, well, you have to figure that now that this has happened, at some point, Liz and Tom have to get back together.
Do they? Do they have to get back together?
Yes, they have to get back together because he's Tom Keene, and all the girls love Tom Keene. The men want to be him, and the girls want him. That's how it works. Yeah, but I think now we got to get back to the blacklist. We got to get back to the fulcrum. We've got to get back to Wrestler and his horrible drug addiction, which seems to have had completely no effect for the past 3 or 4 episodes.
I don't know. Maybe he's getting his drugs from Reddington now. He seemed pretty calm on the trip.
I know. Yeah, he was pretty cool at this last one where, yeah, he smells like a cop, but now he's almost, I guess, comfortable in his role. It's like, yeah, not only am I a cop, I'm an FBI cop on the take. And it was totally believable. It wasn't like, oh yeah, hi, yeah, that's the ticket. Yeah. I'm a pilot, see? Yeah.
I know, Wrestler. I mean, I had to watch that scene like 3 times just because how smooth Wrestler was. I was just, oh my gosh, he's totally in Red's pocket. He's totally it's not like the, Wrestler from the pilot where he was like, I'm going to kick your ass. He's just like, oh yeah, we're buddies now. We're hanging out. We're going on trips.
Yeah, it's funny, where it all started and how everybody was really so on guard with Red. And now it's like Red is not only one of the gang, but they're almost dependent on him now.
Yeah, they are.
It's gone so far.
I know Red's really in charge of the task force. He just is.
Well, he is the task force.
I know, but Harold really just has no control over it. He just kind of has to do what Red says. And everybody. I think they've struck a good balance between that. Obviously, Harold's, I think he rides the political go-between, really. I mean, he's the director. He's not in the field. So he has to balance the things between Red and the top of the government. And I think that's his role. I don't think this is like an out of control chariot. I think he definitely knows where to steer it and what they are, because when the plug gets pulled, that's going to be it. When the higher ups finally get to the end and say, this has gotten out of control, it's going to be out of Cooper's hands, and it's not going to be controllable by Red. And, Red makes his way kind of back into obscurity. I wonder how, now that Harold's crossed the line, how much more he's going to cross the line.
I don't think, it's hard to say. I think with his character and the integrity, it's not going to be a slippery slope. Although I do think that because he has it seems like he's had such a stellar career that this will be enough leverage for Connolly to to leverage some things off of Cooper. But man, it's, I can't wait to see what they do with, the new Attorney General, because he just seems so seedy.
He's so dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, him and Red going toe to toe. I can't wait for that moment. I can't wait for the moment when Connolly crosses the line too far and just makes Red so mad. Oh, this is going to be good. I really do believe that Connolly was on the other end of the phone. I just do. And that would just make it perfect.
Yeah. I wonder, what if Connolly and Red were either Navy buddies, and they're almost like on opposite ends of the spectrum, but like the same kind of guy, or is Connolly in any way connected to the fire?
Oh, that would be an interesting twist, wouldn't it?
It would. I don't know if it kind of puts him at the scene. Well, it could if he's trying to,
because I don't know what was in the briefcase.
He did seem pretty excited about the prospect of working with Red Reddington on the task force stuff.
Oh, I'm sure. So. Yeah, mind games.
Right. All right. Well, I think that's all we have for this one. We'll see where it goes next week. I think let's see, this was 16. So we have, how many more to go here? We've got 22. So we've got about 5 more to go. And so let's go ahead and wrap it up. This was the SMG Blacklist podcast. We are part of the Southgate Media Group, which you can find at www.southgatemediagroup.com. You can click on our show there or at iTunes. And at the website there are sponsors. There are ways to donate. There are other shows, and another show with myself and Melissa is the Bosch podcast. And I also have one called Trumpet Talk. And Melissa, you have a couple fan clubs with that and some Instagrams and Twitters. What are those?
Yeah, so the Blacklist, we have an Instagram account. It's the Blacklist Pod. Our Twitter account is Blacklist Pod. And I'm also involved with the Killing Fan Group. I'm the co-administrator of the Killing Fan Group, of the Bosch TV Fan Group, and now Smoke and Mirrors, which is Mireille Enos's new show, changed from The Catch to Smoke and Mirrors for Shondaland. And so we're really excited about all the stuff going on. Bosch is, we have an Instagram for Bosch. It's Bosch TV Fan Group, along with the Twitter. And we hope that you will listen to our Bosch podcast as if you like our Blacklist podcast.
And my Twitter is at @JWengroski, and yours is?
It's at MS Maxi.
All right. Well, I guess that's about it. Until next time.
See you then.